All right, we're starting with a new section here, 8.6, multiplying polynomials and monomials, page 444 in your book. Let's start with the problem negative 2x squared times the polynomial 3x squared minus 7x plus 10. I'm going to show you two different methods. Let's first talk about the horizontal method. In the horizontal method, all you do is write the monomial term on the outside times each of the items on the inside. So negative 2x squared times the first item, the first term inside the polynomial, 3x squared. Okay, then you add it, negative 2x squared again times the second term is negative 7x. Okay, then you add the first outside term again, the monomial, times the last term, 10. And then you go ahead and do the multiplication. This one is negative 6x to the fourth. Remember, multiply the coefficients and then multiply these base powers by adding the exponents. Plus negative 2 times negative 7 is positive 14. X squared times x to the third, and over here negative 2 times 10 is negative 20 x squared, and then we rewrite that negative 6x to the fourth plus 14x third minus 20x squared, and there is our solution. Now let's use the arrow method. The same problem in the arrow method. So let's rewrite the problem. 3x squared minus 7x plus 10. Now we're going to use arrows to denote how we're doing our multiplication. We're going to start and multiply the first guy, and we don't have to write it down because the arrow represents that. So negative 2x squared times 3x is negative 6x to the fourth. Now we're going to create another arrow from the outside to the middle term. And negative 2 times negative 7 is positive 14. X squared times x to the third, adding the exponents. And finally, negative 2, our third arrow, negative 2x squared times 10 gives me negative 20x squared. And you'll notice I have the same answer using the arrow method as that I had up above using the horizontal method. The book also shows you the vertical method, but you can look in the book to see that. Now let's say I have a slightly different problem where everything doesn't come out so nice after I do the multiplication. 3d squared, and I have to do some simplification. Plus 5d minus d times d squared minus 7d plus 12. Okay, so now here's our problem. First thing I'm going to do is get my arrows going. That gives me 12d squared. Second arrow gives me 20d. Now I'm going to do the arrow thing again. There's 1, 2, 3. So negative d times d squared gives me minus d to the third. Negative d times negative 7d. Well, negative times a negative is a positive. 7d squared. And now we got negative d times 12 gives me a negative 12d. Okay, last problem I was done at this point. But now I look at this and I see that I have some terms that need to be combined. First of all, I see my largest term there is d to the third. So I'm going to write that first. Negative d to the third. Now, what are all my squared? There's a squared and there's a squared. So 12d squared plus 7d squared gives me 19d squared. Okay? And then finally, there's a d and there's a d. 20 minus 12 gives me 8d. and that is the answer after I simplify that. Okay, let's try one more. Let's give an example. Let's say that you're given a bill for your from your telephone company, and the formula for your bill is my bill is equal to $20 I pay no matter what. Plus I have my in-state minutes, I'll call those in minutes, times, let's say 6 cents. 6 cents for every in-state minute. So I'm going to put a bracket around that and that. And then I get to pay for my out-of-state minutes. Out minutes, I pay 5 cents a minute. Okay, so you can see that I pay $20 no matter what, plus 6 cents for every in-state minute and 5 cents for every out-of-state minute. So now let's say that my bill, I know that I have a total minutes of 300. Total minutes equals 300. And I know that my in-state minutes is equal to X. So what would be my calculation for my bill? Well, let's just carry that down and substitute this stuff in. So I'm going to say equals 20, and now this plus my in-state minutes are X, and I'm going to multiply that times 0.06. My out-of-state minutes, I know I have 300 total minutes, and in minutes are X, so my out-of-state minutes are 300 minus X times that 5 cents a minute. And get the parentheses in there correctly. Alright, now I can just do the calculation. 20 plus 0.06X, and now I come over here to the plus, and now I'm going to get my arrow going. I'm going to arrow that guy twice. So the monomial of 0.05 times the polynomial 300 minus X. So 0.05 times 300 is 15 minus 0.05X. Now I have some like terms to add. There's a single number, so I'm going to add that to be 35, and there's an X term, and 0.06 minus 0.05 is 0.01X. And now that is the calculation for my bill based on number of in-state minutes. All right. Now let's take a look at another equation or a multiplication that has two sides, variables on both sides of the equal sign. Let's say we have y times y minus 12 plus y times y plus 2 plus 25. And that equals 2y times y plus 5 minus 15. So now we just multiply this all out. So we start with y times y is y squared. The second arrow comes up. Y times negative 12 is minus 12y. Now we go to the next term here. Get our two arrows going. And we take y times y is y squared again. Y times 2 is 2y. And we still have the plus 25. And now let's do the right-hand side of the equation. Our two arrows come out. We have 2y times y gives me 2y squared. 2y times 5 is 10y minus 15. Okay. Now I noticed I can combine some terms. I got y squared and y squared on this side. So I'm going to get 2y squared. Okay, I've got a y and a y, so minus 12 and plus 2 gives me minus 10y. And finally, I just have the 25 that I can bring down. On this side of the equation, there's nothing behind, so I'm just going to rewrite it. Okay. Now, I see that I have y squared on both sides, so if you remember that, I'm going to subtract 2y squared from both sides. That eliminates it on this side, and it actually eliminates it on this side. So I end up with negative 10y plus 25 equals positive 10y minus 15. I'm going to subtract 10y from both sides. Over here that cancels, and I'm left with a negative 15 on this side. But over here I get negative 20y plus 25 equals the 15. Now I'm going to subtract 25 from both sides. I get negative 20y equals negative 40. Divide by negative 20, divide by negative 20, and y is equal to 2. And there is the simplified version of this long polynomial times equation.